once you go full screen, you're telling it to run.
Oh, I got it.
Yeah.
I got a microphone. I'm good. All right. As the council and people take their seats, we'll get started with the community forum. I thank you for coming out this evening for the first community forum of 2015. I'm Mike Story, the city administrator. I'm going to go ahead and try and facilitate this evening, and the council and some of the elected officials and Rob Steele, the assistant city administrator, up front. We got some of our department heads in the crowd, and we've got a little bit. We've done two of them before. Did one where the department heads were up here. Our first one last year gave an update of what their goals and objectives were for the year. The second one we did in July of 2014, we had some business owners up here that run multi-billion-dollar corporations or just small businesses in town to talk a little bit about what we do right, how we can make our processes better, and just to hear a little bit about that. And tonight, this is a little bit more of an interactive one with the little clickers that you got there. But before I go over the instructions on what to do with that, really, they're no more complicated than your Time Warner remote at home, so I can't use that one. I can use this one a lot easier, so that'll be fine. But I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to the mayor and city council if they want to say something, to say a few words as we get going with the community forum, and then I'll go over a little bit of how the evening's going to go with the questions and things. So, Mayor, why don't you go ahead?
Came out, braved the rain. I know it had been threatening that it was going to occur, so we started receiving drops. Just want to say I'm welcome. I'm happy that you came out for the community forum that Mike indicated is our first for this year. And one of the things, I was in Washington, D.C. last week, a number of sessions and things, and one of the presenters made a good point that he said oftentimes when people take the time to come out and engage with government, with the policymakers, they come out, and we should respect the fact that we should listen and take the time to hear from them, usually, especially the person who may have come the furthest. So, I know that tonight we have an opportunity to have some interactiveness, but I really hope that we will have an opportunity to hear from you. I want to make sure that we hear your questions, your concerns, and be able to respond to them as best we can. So again, thank you for coming out. And I'll turn it over to Councilmember Palmer.
Thank you. Again, to echo, thank you all for coming out. I talked to one of the gentlemen in the audience. I wish there were more of you out there, and I know you do too, because this is the opportunity you have to give us input in what you would like the city to be like. Give us some input of how you think we're doing up here as a council. We do represent you, and your input is needed for us to make sure that we're on the right path and giving you what you want. And again, sir, I echo your sentiments. I wish there was more people dedicated to come out to these forums and to engage us in what's going on in the city of Rialto. So, thank you.
Councilmember O'Connell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First off, I will concur or agree with everyone to my left has said. Most of you I've seen at the community events, area command meetings, neighborhood watch. It's great seeing you guys here. I know there's a lot of people that at these meetings when we were doing the UUT or the oil tax, one of the things that I heard and one of the things that you guys requested was to be the transparent, the honest, the open communication from government that sometimes we don't always receive. And this is just one way of allowing that to happen. Other ways, putting our numbers out there, allowing you guys to contact us at any time of day or night. But this is going to be important from the standpoint of, as we go through it, and you'll see some of the questions, it'll give us guidelines of where you want us to go. So again, thank you for showing up. I was told garlic, mashed potatoes, and steak, but apparently that wasn't here, so I keep saying it.
This is the capsule. Thank you, and Councilmember Scott.
I too want to welcome everybody tonight and glad to see you're here. I do wish that we had more residents and more businesses here for a better turnout. I'm here to listen to you tonight, not for you to listen to me, so welcome again.
So, Mr. Story,
All right.
turn it back over to you.
Okay, so here's how this evening, it's a little, like I say, different than some of the other ones that we've done. Like I say, you have the clicker there, and we're going to be going through about 20 questions that the department heads and their staffs have put together to ask you. They're multiple choice. What'll happen is Angie's over here, and she's much more technical at this. They just give me this clicker, and I hope I get it the right way. But what's going to happen, the question will come up, and I'll say, go ahead and vote, and you'll push the appropriate button on there that matches up with the A, B, C, D, E, F, whatever it may be with that. It'll tally it up. It'll tell us how many people are in the audience voting. And then at one point, then I'll click it when the ballot or the voting closes, and it'll tally up the percentage of what it is. At that point, we'll probably I'll give you an opportunity for, if some of you want to speak a little bit about your particular answer, or if you'd like to do that. Some people don't. They come and they sometimes sit and they don't participate. This gives everyone the opportunity to have a vote with it, and then also the opportunity for someone to have a little bit more of a say in it also. But it'll also give a good reflection to the mayor and council about where we're headed. So we've got a number of questions that are related to fire, PD, public works, recreation, city overall at large, development that is occurring or should occur, what we should have, what we shouldn't have, and particular pieces like that. A lot of times it's questions that you may have been wanting to ask in the past but haven't had the opportunity. This gives you the opportunity to give us your answer and maybe the opportunity to speak if you'd like. So we're going to go through the 20 questions to be able to do that. So you see the first one up there, and the first one that we'll do, and then it'll get to a bigger screen to be able to do it. It's just a first overall question that we'll be asking you is, as a whole, how is the city of Rialto doing? Now you can breathe into that what you want, how we're doing with a whole lot of things, or a whole lot of nothing. It's up to you. The bottom line is, we want an overall, that's how we're going to start it, and then it's going to kind of build it from there. Okay? So you guys can go ahead and vote accordingly, and it'll tally up there. It'll tell me the user feedback, and I'll get a general number about, I can't remember how many we've got out there, maybe 20 or something like that. I'll get Pam or something. She's got a total. Yeah. So go ahead and vote. Push your button accordingly.
Mike, you have a question?
Oh, I'm sorry.
From
Mr. Radin.
Mr. Radin.
Yes, sir.
I was just going to ask Mike, there's some other, in addition to the letters on the clickers, there's some numbers. Do the numbers?
Numbers don't mean, yeah, it strictly identifies only with the letter that you've got. If it's A, B, C, D on there, the numbers don't correlate to anything. We're not going to have any numbers on the side here. It'll strictly be letters, right, Angie? Okay, very good. So go ahead. Tell me it's working. Please tell me it works. Okay, so we've got responses 17, so it's all going through there. That pretty much going to cover it? Everybody voted. Everyone. Going once. Going twice. And what we come up with is, okay, so we've got a 6% excellent, 47% very good, 29% good, and 18% fair to average. Thank you very much that we're not doing poor. So, boy, that makes me feel good as city administrator. They're not doing that. So, at least with this group, so I'm good. So it's we're good with that. So
Give them more cookies, Mike.
okay, you'll get extra cookies to be able to go there and do that thing. So I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to get into more specific things, but this at least gives us an idea in the room of where we're headed and what people think. So now we get into more of the specific types of questions. Just go ahead and click it over, and we'll do it there. Okay, here's the next one, and then we'll get some more discussion. Now we're talking about quality of life, and that's going to be a real open question about how you envision what quality of life should be here in the city of Rialto. That could be dealing with safety, it could be dealing with parks, amenities, aesthetics, how you perceive it, how we look, you know, what our maintenance of buildings are, whatever it may be, what you feel quality of life is to you. So I'm going to let you guys go ahead and start voting on that one, how you would rate the overall quality of life in the city of Rialto. All right, 17, 18.
I like it,
Well, that's,
But it counted you,
Mike just doesn't-
because you were 17 last time and stuff, so.
You have two
So
additional.
if you push it and things to be able to do that, so your vote was tallied.
Angie, our universe increased by 2.
I'm sorry?
The number increased by 2. We had 17, now 2 more came in, so it's 19.
Yeah, so just make sure everyone pushes the appropriate button and things, because we should be going up to, there we go to 18 and stuff, so, yeah.
19, should be a
19
So-
was 17 and 2.
Or someone has no
19.
opinion on our quality of life. So let's see what the tally is. Okay. Very good, good, and fair. 28% very good, 44% good, 20% fair to average. Once again, thank you for not poor. So let's talk a little bit. Let me ask if anyone would like to comment about what they feel, anyone that voted either in the very good, good, or fair good, why you came up with your answer when you say the overall quality of life in Rialto is good. Why do you say that? Why do you feel that way, that it's very good, good, or fair to average? Anyone like to do that? I've got the fire chief and George Harris, our administrative and community service director, will come around with a microphone if you'd like to share that rather than sit quiet. I know some people prefer to, but does anyone like to comment about what they perceive quality of life to be and why you said very good, good, or fair to average? Anyone want to answer?
I would just say, if you'd asked me 3 years ago, I would have said fair, average. Now I feel good. Oh,
Sorry. Say it again. It's okay. Don't feel bad. I don't know. Do you repeat it and stuff? So you're good. Go ahead.
if you'd asked me 2 years ago, I would have said fair to average.
Okay.
And because now I feel it's good. I feel it's increasing, it's getting better.
And you think the quality of life
happier.
to you would mean, what are the types of things that make you say very good for the quality of it? What are those things that make the quality of life better? What are the things that
The
we're
condition of the
doing?
streets,
Okay.
the public works is very good. I'll add that. Just services in general, the
Okay.
kinds of businesses, the appearance of the city.
Mhm.
It just seems like more people care about more things.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else? Tony, go ahead. There you go. There you go.
I would say the response time of our police and fire department has improved,
Okay.
especially the police.
And so that helps benefit your quality of life.
Yes,
And you're-
because
okay,
I know,
got it.
I feel more comfortable knowing that I had a bullet come through the roof of my mobile home into
Mhm.
my kitchen. Found it on the counter.
Hmm.
I thought, I'm not a bullet, whatever. I called and he came out and picked it up and was very concerned, took pictures and, I mean, if I'd have been in the kitchen, it would have killed me.
Hmm.
It was a big slug.
Hmm.
And he was there within 10 minutes.
Okay.
And that made me feel really comfortable to know that something like that. It
Was
happened in
important.
early in the morning, like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Got
I
it.
heard it, didn't know what it was until I got up. But that made me feel more comfortable knowing that the police cared enough to show up for something that inconsequential. It wasn't a threat to my life, I didn't call 911, but
Understood.
still, yeah, it made me feel
Good.
good. And I see the fire department, I hear them responding much quicker too.
Okay. Anyone else on the quality of life question that would like to comment on that one? Yes. Dennis?
Yeah. I agree with Judy that a couple of years ago, or 3, it would have been a different answer, but there has been an improvement. One of the things that I really see around my neighborhood is it's quieter, and that's due to several years ago a noise ordinance being passed, and to the credit of the police department, is enforced. When I call, they show up, you know, and it's quieted down, and I can feel a little bit better about walking out at night and walking the neighborhood. So yeah, I think we've gone, and really when we look at it, at least in my view, sometimes when we have a question like this, it's comparative. When you look at other cities and how you want to look at other cities, if we go a little bit to the east, we're probably past C, above C. If we go a little bit further over or to the west, you know, we're probably good. So it depends on how one looks at it and how you're measuring it. But measuring it from where we were 3 years ago to now,
Okay.
definitely we're at least
Very
at
good.
good, and I think we're moving up.
Great. Thank you. George, real quick, right here. Thanks. She got it right behind you there. Thank you.
Like almost everybody else, I see a lot of improvement since a few years ago. However, I'd like to see more private property maintenance monitored and made to comply with better standards. I'd like to see more upscale restaurants and stores. I really would like to not have to go to San Bernardino or Fontana to find a good dinner restaurant. I guess it depends on the neighborhood you live in. The noise level in our neighborhood is not what it is in other neighborhoods. We have the standard party problems, the loud radios on the streets. I have to say for the police department, yes, their response time is good, but I have to really say that the dispatch has really gotten better. They are very polite. They treat, in the past, years ago, it was difficult to really get them to respond positively to minor complaints like a party. But now you don't get the same feeling. So I do feel there's been a lot of improvement. I just would like to see more.
We're going to get to a lot of the things that you mentioned. There are more specific questions that'll get into some of the things regarding development and property maintenance and stuff. So let's get on to the next one here. Now I want to talk a little bit about what, if we want to improve, we talked about what we think the quality of life is now. Let's talk a little bit how to improve the quality of life here. So what amenities are most important to improve Rialto's quality of life? You got parks and playgrounds, libraries, recreational trails, civic buildings, shopping and eating options, streets. Of that, start voting on that one and press the appropriate one. You get one. You get one. You got to make a decision, Joe. So it's got to make a decision of that. I can't go, I didn't have all or none. So I want to get a little bit more specific. So let's just pick one of the 6 that are on there, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Parks, playgrounds, libraries, trails, civic buildings, shopping, eating options, and streets. Voting, I know we had some more people come in. Make sure you push the appropriate
There's
button.
10. 2 more people came in and it still says 18.
Is the real question of those, which one is your highest priority?
No, I would say what amenities are most important. Pick one of them and stuff. I can't multiple, but what amenities would you pick? Some it's parks and playgrounds, rec trails. Pick one of them.
Yeah, what's most important for them, though?
Yeah, I mean, what would you want to do? What you would think is going to improve the quality of life, which of those amenities do you think are important that we should consider adding to help enhance the quality of life for you? What's important to you that we need to work on? You got it?
Okay, there's 20 responses.
Okay, so let's see what we all say. Got it? Here we go.
What's the top one?
20% on parks and
Shopping
playgrounds,
options.
0 on libraries, 10% recreational trails, civic buildings, 45% shopping and eating options, and 25% streets.
What was on the civic?
0.
Civic was 0.
45%. And
So 20% on parks. And what we're going to do is, once we push the tally and report and stuff, we get a full tally sheet that we're going to make available on our Facebook and our website and everything, and make available to everybody that's here tonight with that total. So 20%, 10% on rec trails, 45% shopping and eating options, and streets. You got that, Rob? Real clear, Mr. Development Services Director. Good thing. So, any particular reason you picked that one, what those amenities are most important to you to help with your quality of life? And we want to answer why you answered the way you did. Anyone got a, Mr. Barton, go ahead real quick. So,
Actually, I would love to pick 3 of them.
I understand.
Since I only did one, I picked streets. And the reason I picked streets is, we can have all those other things, but if we can't get to them, what good are they?
Interesting comment to do that. Let's go back here, Matt, real quick back here. So, go ahead. Yes, ma'am.
I didn't get a chance to vote, but my husband voted for me. But he voted wrong for me.
That's all right. My wife's up here and she votes. That's all right. My wife's up here and she votes for me all the time. So it's like it's
I would have said streets. I would have said streets because hi Judy. Because we live near the In-N-Out Burger new
Yes.
burger thing, the whole situation over there.
Mhm.
And it's really messy. So I don't know if that pertains to the street or not, but it's really messy. So I'm wondering what's going to happen with that because the traffic it's bad over there.
Oh, okay, messy meaning traffic messy is what
Yes,
you're
so I
talking about.
don't-
Okay,
that's what the
that's what we
streets-
were talking, maintenance of properties. So you're saying the traffic situation?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Got it clear. Yes, go ahead. Phyllis, go ahead. Yeah, and then we'll get back there.
Shopping and eating options. We like to go to a steakhouse now and then, and we really like Tony's Spunky Steer in Redlands. It's reasonable, and it's not all a la carte items like some of the higher ones. And we'd really like a American steakhouse in Rialto, maybe more than one, maybe with a banquet facility like it used to have at the country club. I'm dreaming, I know. And shopping, I like to sew, and you can't, Walmart's about the only place here where you can get fabric. I would love to have a store that crafts and fabric, because I'm always going out of town for it, and I'd like to keep my revenue here.
Mike, are we going to get an opportunity?
Yeah, go ahead. Anytime you guys want to speak, the council can pipe anything that you want to say. I'm not going to call on them. They will speak when they desire. Go ahead, Mr. Palmer.
Yeah, Phyllis, and I know eating options are really important. Let me tell you what council has done. Every time we go to these ICSC conventions and stuff, we talk to a lot of restaurants to get here. The problem that we have in Rialto is the big restaurants like Outback and Black Angus and the ones you want to see here, they base where they build on the median income of the city and what's surrounding it. And we don't meet those requirements. A good thing that's happening, though, is based on that little messy place up there, that I agree, the traffic, I don't know what it's going to be like when Chipotle and Wingstop and all those other places open. It's going to be really bad. But what that has proven is the In-N-Out Burger, who took a chance, busiest one in the state of California. Okay? Jersey Mike that's just opened up, they're record-breaking sales right now up there. The Corky's that went in. So we're kind of proving to these other restaurants that we do actually have the capability in Rialto of supporting something like that. We just have to get them off of that business model that they have that is based on a median income of those people in Rialto. So we're trying our hardest. Now, obviously, when the Renaissance project goes in over there, where the Target's going in off of Ayala, at some point in time, let me tell you, there's going to be some upscale restaurants over there, and we'll have some good shopping. So it takes a little time, but we've had roadblocks put in front of us because of business models of these businesses, but we're trying our darndest.
Mike, and yes, and I would just like to speak to a point that Councilmember Palmer made. And when we are out there, they have their model, the demographics they're looking at, and the income average. So one of the things that we're also doing on a parallel front is it's very important to pursue and bring in business to our area. And I know oftentimes people are thinking we're bringing in just warehouse and distribution, but if you were watching our council meeting on Tuesday night, we brought in two companies. One's a manufacturer. The medium income or average salary of those jobs are going to be around 40,000 full-time jobs. As you bring in more activities that bring in more diversity in the market and the skilled workforce, we'll start bringing our average up. Sure, we have some people in our community that are really on the high end. Their income is very high, over 150,000, and we have very low. So when you average it out, we have to keep working to also attract the business and the employment center that will also alter or change and improve our demographics when it comes to when you look at the market rate. So, and that one of our companies that we're hoping that will be underway will be the Niagara, which we're hoping and planning to be up in operation by September, October. So with an average income, and I think they're looking to hire over 100 people initially, average income around 40,000, that'll start bringing our medium average income in our community up so that helps to make, and I guess become more a convincing argument for the things that we'd like to see. When we were at ICSC last May, Councilmember Palmer and I, we met with a lot of people. We also met with one private owner, which owns Gladstone's. And so we're hoping, Gladstone's is something that we can look at. They have different models. If you haven't seen a Gladstone's, it's a similar nice sit-down restaurant that would provide a variety. So that's some of the things that go into what we can bring and attract to the community. Anybody else?
Yes, real quick.
O'Connor?
One of the things that, besides bringing in the businesses, we also, everyone knows, we went 2007, 2008, the worst recession possible. The last figures that we've seen, 17% unemployment rate within the city. We have anywhere from the 20-year-olds to the 35-year-olds that there's a significant amount of jobs that are needed. So besides bringing in these businesses where we're getting a couple hundred jobs at a time, the city has put together resources. We have job fairs 3 or 4 times a year. We have job training where you come in 1 to 2 times a year where we actually show you how to do interviews, etc. And we have resources. George put up a particular area where if you need to use your computers or send out resumes or print stuff or update stuff. So we're providing as much opportunities as possible. Our website has a list that you can go to actually see what jobs are available. And again, if you don't have a computer, we actually are providing opportunities as well. So we're looking at all fronts to get this going.
Let me go to the back real quick, and then we go on to the next question, because a lot of these same questions are going to come up to be able to. Let me go to the back first, Joe. Go ahead.
I chose streets because some of them doesn't have sidewalks. Since 5 years ago, I asked for a sidewalk on the middle school because it's dangerous. During the elections time, everybody called us and they asked for the vote for me, and I explained we need the sidewalk for the students. And they say, yeah, we want to put in this, we want to put in front, we want to vote for that, and you have to wait. I called to Sacramento, and I called here when the last, what's her name? I don't remember. I talked to somebody else right here, and they say, yeah, we're going to do it. And now I ask you for that, because for me it's very important. It's a lot of accidents over there with no sidewalks. You put some sidewalks around the Rialto with no students, nobody's there. I don't know, but we need the sidewalk over there in Rialto Middle School.
Okay, got it. Okay, real quick, let me finish up with Joe real quick and then move on to the next question. Joe, go ahead.
First of all,
just on.
First of all, I'd like to thank the mayor for informing us about the manufacturing. I think that's very important. Wealth is created by making things, and we need to bring in more of what she just talked about, manufacturing. Secondly, when we get around to eating options, shopping and eating options, I agree with the opinion that I've heard from more than one person. But when we talk about upscale, my idea of upscale would be on the order of like an Elephant Bar, an Outback, Mimi's, but we have Mimi's close by in Fontana. We have one in San Bernardino. And like Old Spaghetti Factory, what I think would be good is if we could find some other upscale restaurants that other cities do not have, so we not only attract our own citizens, but we attract citizens from surrounding cities for upscale restaurants. Third, and very important, is streets. I don't know how many streets I go over where they're main streets of travel and they desperately need overlay. There's a lot of potholes, significant street erosion, and streets that have so many potholes that I can't see how they aren't contributing to wear and tear and damage to cars. Mm-hmm. And the other thing I want to mention is I think that our maintenance department, our street maintenance department, needs more staffing. So we need more of the resources that are now going to be newly available for overlays, slurries, and street maintenance personnel. And that sort of sums it up. Thank you.
Great, thanks. Let's go on to the next question there, and it's going to talk a little bit about land uses, and this is in Rob Steele's world and stuff on various things. But let's look at that one. What land uses, and this is the types of how we zone property or designate property for development, what land uses do you think the city needs more of? And you've got some different options. You've got single-family housing, multifamily housing, which is, you know, into your apartments and your condos, retail commercial, service commercial, that's getting into the world of more of like offices, warehouses and manufacturing, public facilities, or another one, some other one that we haven't hit there. We've hit most of them, but why don't you guys go ahead and vote on that one of what types of land uses do you think the city needs more of? Now this is the land use designation and stuff, so we can add more single family, multifamily, apartments or condos, retail commercials, service commercial, which is office, warehouse, manufacturing, public facilities, or some other one. It's going, it's going. All right. If everyone could respond to that. Got them all? Think, Angie? There we go. Got it. Here we go. Let's see what the percentage is on this. 14% single family, 5% multifamily. Message delivered, message clear. All right, retail commercial, 38%, 5% service commercial or office, 19% warehouse, 5% public facilities, and 14% other. Okay, so I got the numbers for the A through F. Somebody who voted on the other, could you tell me what the other might be so I've got some idea? Anyone who voted on the other want to speak up and say what other meant to them that wasn't on that list? What might that be for a land use that we're missing up there? Anyone want to suggest what that might be, what other is? If it's not any of those 6, then what might it be? No? Okay. Well, at least that gives our council, does council any comment they want to make particular to that as we move forward? Or Rob, you got that pretty clear, huh? So, okay. A reoccurring theme, very clear. Question 5. What types of retail businesses does the city need to attract? Sit-down restaurants? Heard it. Well, let's hear the vote. Now, you get to pick one. I know you want to pick 6, but no. Maybe you don't want to pick 6. But sit-down restaurants, clothing stores, home furnishings, furniture and appliances, grocery and food stores, discount dollar stores. You need to pick one of those. What types of retail businesses does the city need to attract to come into the city? You guys could vote on that. Restaurant, clothing stores, home furnishings, furniture and appliances, grocery and food stores, or discount dollar stores. All right. Yeah, that's duly noted. All right, is there one more? Was it 21 we had before, Angie? Yeah, 21. Okay, got it. Here we go.
Did I get that right or not?
Well, it's not like 100, but it's close. 67% sit-down restaurants. Got it. Clothing stores, 14. 10% home goods, okay. Furniture and appliances. So you don't have any problem going outside to buy your washer and dryer and stuff. I get it, and your couch. Okay.
Mike.
Grocery and food stores, discount dollar. Okay.
Hey, Mike, I just have one.
Go ahead, comments, go ahead.
Just one comment to everyone, please. With regards to sit-down restaurant, when you get those annoying calls sometimes from people who are doing surveys, and you do take the time to take a call, if they happen to ask you how often do you go out to eat, tell them you go out at least 3 or 4 times a week. Because market rate analysis information, sometimes we look at it annoying, but sometimes they're out there doing assessments of how the average person, how often. I want it to be real, but you know, that also helps to demonstrate for us to support the fact that there is a demand. I mean, 67% should be strong enough on its own, but just want to remind you, because I know sometimes I choose not to want to participate in surveys. So.
Okay.
Rob, could you, anything else to concur to that with the markets information we operate on?
Well, just to add, I would say, you know, we've focused a lot of our efforts on creating the environment where restaurants can thrive. So we have two major projects. Councilmember Palmer mentioned one, the Renaissance Rialto, and 600,000 square feet of retail. And so there'll be a mass of attraction there, and it'll appeal to a lot of these restaurants more than a standalone site where they're only drawing upon their own customer base. When you've got a theater and some other things clustered together, you have a much higher chance of getting better quality restaurants. So certainly that's our best site. Lytle Creek also has some retail. And then Walmart, which is on the Riverside 10 freeway, that'll probably be the first project we get out of the ground. In fact, they submitted building plans today. So we hope by summertime they'll actually be starting construction on their project.
Okay, we're going to ask a question about industrial uses here, this next one. And this is because there's areas, as Rob mentioned, the mayor and all the council's aware, the airport project, which has a commercial component and as well as a residential. It also, as the mayor mentioned with some of the projects that were even approved this week, an industrial component, industrial uses, as well as down in the Agua Mansa area, old El Ravino Golf Course down there and some of the other industrial areas down there. So let's ask something quickly just about industrial uses. We're talking just up at the airport and down in Agua Mansa. This is the stuff south of the 10 freeway in that area. What types of industrial uses would you prefer to see in Agua Mansa, south of the 10, and near the airport up by the 210? Small business parks, large warehouses, large internet sales distributors. Okay, so large, along those lines, large manufacturers, or E is none of them. You don't want to see any of them. Right. So what we would have there, a large warehouse user would be something like we've seen with the Target or the Staples or the Toys R Us, like we're seeing now. And then you get to the large internet sales ones, like an Amazon, like a home shopping network. Those become point of sales types of industrial uses. They're one that, like probably if all do, we go online, we buy something that comes out of those places. Those become point of sale to do that, or just manufacturing uses, which is more of that type of thing, or none of those. You don't want to see, none of those industrial uses. You want to see any more of them. We've got enough. So go ahead and vote on that and see what your response is.
The internet sales can have a point of sale. Sometimes they're, like we have Apple products distributed out of a warehouse here, and we don't get the point of sale there, but it is an internet-based distribution function. They tend to have much higher employment, though, than a standard warehouse. They have a lot of folks that do the inventorying.
1 second. Go ahead. Joe, go ahead.
Just one question. I think that Agua Mansa and the airport area should have been separated for these questions. Agua Mansa is a lot different area. The airport is near a lot of residential, where Agua Mansa, you have a lot different type of usage down there. The other point I'd make is on large internet sales distributors, would there be a sales tax component going to the city from that? Would the city gain revenue from that? Or does that have to be agreed upon between the large internet sales distributors? And would those distributors have the warehouses there, or would they just have the call centers that take the orders there, or both?
And Rob can answer. You get all kinds of different ones that can have that, where, like he said, OHL, which has Apple distributor there, which is not a point of sale. Other ones, do you have if it was like an Amazon, which has a point of sale, or it's been negotiated by the state. Like I said, we want to identify, and the reason we put the two together, the airport and the Agua Mansa areas, because they're the last of the large industrial designations that we've got. Obviously, we've got spots along there, and some have different uses, but we just want to see what you think could go, because any of those uses are, some of the stuff is only for Agua Mansa, some of the stuff is just at the airport, some of our uses, but we want to know there's just some people, and the council's heard it, and we've heard it, says, you know what, I'm done with industrial. You got enough. You got enough warehouse. You got enough you've got enough of those. So that's why the none of the above is included in there. So that's what we're going to do. So if everyone's
Mike,
got the...
one thing I would be concerned with a number of these is if they're in the wrong place, like up by the airport, we've already got a lot of truck traffic and a lot of wear and tear from truck traffic. And if it was going to be something like large manufacturers, large internet sales distributors, or large warehouse, I think that would be much better located at an AGUA MANSA. So the question is really a hard one to answer the way it's set up. That's my comment.
Mr. Jackson.
Well, good evening. Thank you. To respond to the question for industrial uses, I would like to know from A, B, C, and D, guesstimate Mr. Steele, which one of those would produce the largest amount of jobs for the city of Rialto, in your estimation? And that would be the basis of my vote.
At the moment, C would be the largest employment yield for the city. They tend to, have about twice the employment that a standard warehouse has. Large manufacturers, if you didn't know, they're very rare in California anymore. To get somebody that actually produces a product is difficult. Most of that's being done in other states where regulations and taxes and utilities are a lot cheaper. Niagara, as we approved the other night, as you know, is a manufacturer. That's the first one I think I can point to since I've been here, quite honestly. That's pure manufacturer. So I would say the order there is probably the internet sales distributors, large manufacturers, and actually small business parks. Those are the small entrepreneurial buildings. Usually you have a flooring company, a craftsman, a tradesman that works out of there. You might have a small office, an insurance office. Those can generate some pretty high employment yields as well. I would say the only downside is there's a finite demand for those types of facilities. They tend to be funded with home equity lines of financing, and those dried up, of course, during the recession. So hopefully I answered your question.
One of the things,
Go ahead, John, I'm sorry.
One of the things that we're actually looking at is each one of these has positive and negatives. Some would offer more employment. Some would actually, I know Judy kept saying point of sales. One of the things we try to do is every warehouse, for example, can potentially have a sales desk. Anything that gets shipped out of that warehouse, we can get sales tax on. The problem being is most of those are now located in Ontario. They have a lot of stuff locked up for a few years. Some of the ones that we are bringing into the city are now maybe 10 years out. We'll actually try to get a sales desk here. I know truck travel was mentioned. What we also try to do when we put these businesses in, we look at where's the easiest on and off ramp. Are they close to an on and off ramp off the 210, et cetera, so there's going to be less travel through the city. Jobs, like the mayor pointed out, as soon as we bring jobs in, it's going to increase our taxable rate, which will then encourage, it's a snowball effect. We now get businesses that want to come here. So it's a balance. There's no easy answer, and I can't wait to see the results.
Yeah. Real quick, Dennis, real quick, and then we'll everyone vote. There's still a few people and stuff. You could vote on this one, and then I'll tally it up after Dennis is done. Go ahead.
Rob, you mentioned C probably produces perhaps the most jobs. Which of the four that are on there produce the most wages? Because wages is a big deal, and I think manufacturing might be.
Manufacturing and warehouses, they're pretty comparable. I mean, they're going to be in the $40,000 to $45,000 range. The large internet sales distributors like Amazon claim they're slightly higher than that, so probably pushing to the 50s, and they have higher employment yield as well. The small business parks tend to be the small entrepreneurs, and I'd say that's probably at the lower end of the scale. So the B, C, and D are probably pretty close in that $40,000 to $50,000 range, and A would be slightly under that.
So here's your total. What did I do?
Yes or no?
What did I do? Go back? Let's go back. Can I go back?
Can we still vote?
Hang on a second. It closed?
That's the other one.
There we go. Sorry. All right. Small business parks, large warehouses, 1611. Well, and so we got large manufacturers. Okay. So you got 21 for small business parks, 16% large warehouses, the 11% for the internet sales, 42% the large manufacturers. I was talking about like with Niagara, and then 11 was none of the above.
See,
all right.
See, in the large manufacturers,
Yeah.
it's just interesting. George, Greg, and I were at a function last week where John Husing was speaking, He was basically pointing out where the strengths of the Inland Empire and the state economy are, and he showed some statistics with the state of California and how few manufacturers that we've pulled in the last 20 years. And again, the reasons, Texas, Idaho, Nevada, all these other places that have lower cost structures are pulling what few products the United States makes, and they're not coming to California. Obviously, we get the knowledge industries, so Silicon Valley, some of the coastal towns get the software technologists, the medical folks. So we're doing very well in that category. They tend to be coastal centric, but out here in the Inland Empire, sort of our bread and butter has been construction, distribution, and obviously service support for residential areas, so education and government.
Real quick, Dennis, before I go to the next one, I got to get through these. So
Sorry. Well, okay. Just real quick. Why not business parks? No professional parks. It's all related down, but no professional parks.
that was one of the other questions earlier that we had regarding there was related to office and stuff in one of the previous questions to that one. Yeah. So let's talk, and I know to the council, especially to a couple of them, especially to Councilmember Scott and Palmer, I know regarding as business owners and stuff, this is an important question that maybe you guys can help me answer or help us. Do you feel that the city is business friendly? And you may have a different definition of what that may be, but do you think we are business friendly, the city? Well, to some degree, but also, we need to know if it relates to some of the questions you're talking about. Why don't we get some of these uses? There may be some people think you're not going out and trying to attract them. You're too hard. Your standards are too high. Your requirements are too big. People aren't going to come here because you require too much parking, too much landscaping. Your design standards are too much. We're not going to come to your town because of that. So do you feel that we're business friendly with that one based on the types of things you've seen? So that's the kind of thing that we're kind of looking for. Obviously, it'd be better if it was all business owners in here. When our last forum, we had some of them in here that talked about how good we did and how we can improve, but this somewhat has a direct effect on how we're going out and looking for business when we go to some of these conferences and these trade shows and things to be able to do that. So based on what you've seen, are we business friendly based on the type of businesses that you see here? That's going to be part of it and things. So,
Mike, if we look at surrounding cities that are doing really well, Rancho Cucamonga, Redlands, the architectural standards are high, and they have a very nice look, especially in the downtown areas. So I would say we would want high standards, especially with architecture, and not just settle for anything, just to get a business in.
let me really quick before we total up the business. I'll just ask Councilmember Scott and Palmer, since you guys own business now, how would you guys, if we're business friendly, what that would mean to you and to explain to the community or something like that?
It means a little bit different to me. It means as a small businessman, what conflicts you have to endure with the city to open a business and to stay in business. So it's the permit process, the inspection process, the fees you have to pay, signage ordinances. There's a lot of things that go into that, but it's when you go to the desk, to try to do something, it's not, no, you can't do it, sorry. It's, well, it's not here, but let me maybe take a look and see how we can fit you in. Maybe we can get you in somewhere else. And I think we're getting more to that point. We are business friendlier because we're helping people to open businesses. So that's what it means to me.
I think it's kind of comes in two categories, but let me say first that I agree with Mr. Radin that we should have high standards. And one of the things I see as a business owner in the city is we allow small businesses to open with no signage. Sometimes paint colors aren't good. I think those are important standards. But I also agree with Councilmember Palmer that we have to make it easy, especially for a small business to come in and open. Because every day you're not open in your business, you lose money. And most people that open small businesses, and I'm talking about little restaurants and little stores and stuff, most of those people don't have a lot of working capital or a lot of money. And many times they've mortgaged their houses or they've scraped every dollar they can get. So to me, what business friendly means is that we expedite their permits. We help them get their business open as quickly as possible. We make it a streamlined process through the city when they're coming through the city and permitting. On the other side of the coin, you have large businesses who have lots of money, who can afford to be held up through the permit process and other processes. But the problem is they tend to come to the top of the list because they have the money to pay to expedite their permits. They have the money to expedite their plan checks. Small business person doesn't. So I think we have to separate it into two categories, large businesses and small businesses. But aesthetics, standards, I'm totally in support of. I think one of the things this city has done probably the poorest job at is signage on businesses. We need to have a better signage program and look more at standards that are uniform and attractive for people to come in, not banners on buildings that say Joe's Crab Shack now open.
It's a clear message that we need to improve to get that up to 100% to be able to do that, whether you're a large business or a small one, and how we treat people. Do you believe the city should be more aggressively enforce property maintenance standards on residential and commercial properties? Do you strongly agree with that? Just agree, disagree, strongly disagree, or you have no opinion regarding property maintenance standards in residential and commercial properties? Guys, go ahead and vote on that one. We're doing on that, and see if we be more aggressively enforcing property maintenance standards than what we're presently doing. All right. Close. Anybody else? All right. Let's close the voting and see what we come up with. Okay. Message delivered, message received, message heard. Sure, go ahead.
And I think Mr. Ray brought it up, maintaining properties and be a little more forceful on that. We have to take a real careful approach. I agree, sometimes I drive down streets and I see yards with dead weeds 3 feet high that are just not maintained. I see businesses the same way, and we should be hard on that. We should be really proactive and go after that. But we have to help them too, because we're in the area of drought right now. And so we hit people because maybe their yards aren't green enough or well maintained, but then we're going to attack them because now the yard's dead. So I don't know how the city, it's a problem the city has to now try to get into the healthy citizens, because there's alternative ways now than landscaping that we have to help them with gravel.
Got it. Sure. Okay.
So I do think that there's a problem in Rialto right now. We probably need to enforce it a little bit more, but we have to be careful with how we do that.
I've been on about 2 years. I remember about a year ago, the ordinance was brought back in front of the city council about let's start enforcing it. I believe at the time it said that since about 2008, because of the economic issues, we stopped enforcing it. And so when it came back in front of the council, realizing that we need to start addressing it, make sure the city is business friendly but also professional, we're hearing from the public, we decided we were going to send out code enforcement. But before we did that, we also had a period of time where we actually sent them out to the businesses saying, and by the way, we're going to start this up, what can we do to help you out? It was a period of time where we just didn't jump on them and say, you know, hey, we did this for about 5 or 6 or 7 years where we weren't enforcing it, now we're going to start finding you. So what we ended up doing is there was a period of a couple months to get everyone back on board, and we're still moving forward. So if you have those businesses with those pop-up signs and everything else, hopefully you're seeing them less and less. If not, give us a call, code enforcement can go out.
Yes, Dennis.
Yeah, we're not just talking about weeds here. It's structural, it's other things. It's not just weeds. So I just want to make that clear.
Right.
And it's just not commercial properties. It's
True.
Single-family residents too.
Well, and Dennis, and to be fair with that, a lot of that dealt with the major foreclosures
like this, because that's a fire hazard.
Understood.
If you cut them all down and keep it all treated,
Understood.
that's fine. If it's dead because you can't afford the water, I understand.
Go ahead, sorry.
My concern is when you have the same occupant of a house that repeatedly does not comply with code enforcement requirements. I mean, the officer will go out and cite them, and they may cut the lawn, and then 2 months and a half later, it's right back where it was, year after year after year. And it seems to me that there should be some consequences for a person who repeatedly does not keep up their property. I mean, if you have a log of 20 or 25 calls in on the same property, the same owner, and they have no consequences, then they really have no real reason to not comply. I mean, they comply for a month and then it's right back. So we are constantly calling code enforcement on the same residential properties over and over and over again.
Got it, Rob? Yeah. Look real quick up at this next question on number 9. We're talking about just housing types that we think we need in our community. So what housing types does Rialto need most? What do you think we need more of? High-value single-family housing, active adult community housing, affordable senior rental housing, affordable family housing, or E, affordable apartments. So this is what types of housing do you think that we need more of in the city of Rialto? So if you guys could go ahead and vote on that real quick. Oh, yes, Phyllis, sorry. Grab that mic right there, Phyllis, would you? Thank you.
A question on the affordable senior rental housing. Now, like, what would be the lowest income you could have to go in that and the highest? Like low cost, if you get too much, you don't get it.
I can't get into specifics. This is one, you've got active adult community, which is primarily more of an ownership type with that. The affordable senior rental is just primarily rental property. That would be just senior restricted type of rental. And then the affordable family homes, affordable housing, as well as affordable apartments.
Senior rental would be anybody that wants to live there and you can pay the rent, you can do it if you're a senior?
That would be how I would shape that. Correct, yeah. So everyone vote please. I got a couple of more people if they'd like to. Anybody else? All right, are we done? There we go, any more? 2, 1, 0. Okay. Higher value single family, 25%. Active adult community housing, 30. Affordable senior, 25. Affordable family, 15. And affordable apartments. Okay, affordable apartments. We don't know more of that and stuff. So, got it. So, what do you think, Rob? Getting all this down? So it's okay. Very good. Taking the tally, and the council's taking it too, and you'll get to see the total too, but that gives us at least a clear direction, a little bit about what we're talking about here. Mr. Radin, real quick.
Very easy. If you want people with more disposable or discretionary income, we need more high-value single-family housing for that reason. Because if you want to draw businesses in that are upscale businesses, they're going to look at the income in the city.
Understood. Got it. Okay. Come over and grab that one too. George walked out. You can handle 2 of them, Chief. I know you can. All right. All right. We're done talking about development and housing and that. We're going to shift into the world of public works and about some of the stuff. So, this one's a little longer. I'm almost going to use all of your buttons on this one. What do you see as the most pressing public works need that you see out in the community? We talked about a little bit when you some of the answers. The lady in the back talked about streets and sidewalks and other pieces. So here we go. A, street maintenance. B, street improvements. Okay. So maintenance is what's existing out there. Improvements is like putting stuff in where it doesn't exist. Where there's no sidewalk, putting a sidewalk. putting curb and gutter where it doesn't exist. Maintenance is what's already there and just maintaining it. So street maintenance, street improvements, repair of curb gutters and sidewalks, park maintenance, so our parks, parkway tree trimming, in other words, going around there in the parkway and trimming our trees, graffiti removal, storm drainage improvements, or I, water and sewer system improvements. So, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. I almost get to use all of your buttons on that one. So, if everyone could respond to that one, and we'll tally it up and see what we come up with, maybe with some response to that. So, all right, going quick. Any more? Any more? Any more come in? Any more? 21, 22. We're good. 22. Got it. That's all of them. Here we go. Got it. Wow. Wow. Street maintenance, 36%. Street improvements, 32%. Curb and gutter, 14. Nothing on D, E, F, and G, down to 9% on storm drainage and 9% on water and sewer system improvements. So, street maintenance, street improvements. We've heard about that tonight where we've got potholes where we need to do overlay or slurry seal or complete reconstructions, sidewalks, which probably some of you have in your neighborhood, don't either have a sidewalk or have one that's kind of at a 45 like this because it popped up or cracked or did something. So, message delivered. So, I think what this, like I say, is what this helps is with, I know with the council as well as department heads and stuff, as we craft the budget and move forward to be able to do stuff, what the priorities come to be able to meet the needs of the community. So that's, anyone got a comment real quick on any of those? I think it's made clear. I probably bounce back on some of the streets in your own neighborhood. All right, 11. If the city can provide additional funding to improve level of maintenance services, in other words, if we have additional money to be able to do it. So imagine we have our regular $54 million operating budget to be able to do that. We plug certain money into improvements, but above and beyond, we have additional money, above and beyond that, to improve level of maintenance services for the following areas. What is your top priority? Street maintenance, park maintenance, facility maintenance. That's going to be facilities like, and what we're talking about are street maintenance are your streets, park maintenance are our parks, facility maintenance are public buildings. So we're talking civic center, senior center, fitness center, community center, other facilities. We've got police department, fire to be able to do that. Fleet maintenance is our stuff that we drive around, whether it's a S10 pickup truck or a backhoe to be able to do that. So that with additional money should be put into for fleet maintenance. All of those, see I did give you, Joe, I gave you the option. You can vote for, on this one you can vote for all of them, or an F you can vote for none of them, or you can individually vote for them. So A, B, C, or D. If you guys could vote on that. What we come up with that and see what we come up on, what our priority should be. And I'm pretty much going to guess what that's going to be. All right. We got them all. One more. We had 22, right? Is that what it was? Okay. Okay. Nobody wants to vote. Okay. I'm at 3, 2, 1. Message delivered. Message heard. Now this is pretty consistent. So 67% there. Park and facilities, fleet, or all the above, or none of the above. Wow. Okay. So that means is if we have the extra money, don't spend it on any of that stuff. Okay, gotcha. Okay. Go ahead, grab a mic there, real quick. Sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
The intersection of Riverside Avenue and Foothill Boulevard is a huge embarrassment to the city of Rialto.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody driving through the city that doesn't live here would drive through there thinking this is incredibly ridiculous.
We are currently, I know they're going to be working on the Riverside itself.
Yeah,
and there's talk about...
yeah, we're going to take it from Riverside up from, or from Foothill south, down.
We have to wait for the temperature. It's going to be a unique design. Marcus Fuller, before he left, we're actually going to pull up the street, somehow do some magic, and lay it down at the back end. And apparently it's a better design. It lasts longer. It's the first time we're going to be attempting to do it. But we have to wait for the temperature to warm up. Otherwise, it just doesn't work. So I believe we're still in the process of doing that. It's
Yeah,
been
it'll
postponed
be
a
coming
little bit.
in March. So,
Mike,
Yes.
at one time, we approved some architectural treatment for Riverside and Foothill. Is that still in the works?
I don't think so.
No.
I think that got pulled out.
Yeah, we pulled that out.
And I was just going to ask for clarification, because I think, yeah, we have a project on Riverside.
Correct.
From the
It's
tracks
going to
up
include
to
Foothill.
but
Well,
I think I heard him
Right.
speaking to
The intersection
the
itself.
intersection itself.
Correct.
And,
Yeah.
and so, if you don't mind, could you probably elaborate a little more on what is it that you see the lack of, or the way it's constructed? What was your thoughts?
The road itself, the roadbed itself is the pavement. It's just unbelievable.
Okay.
Potholes, uneven pavement. It's falling apart. And north, south, east, or west, no matter how you go through that intersection, you realize just how bad it is.
Okay,
in any
got it.
kind of car.
Yeah,
Got it.
Got it.
Yeah, because why I asked is because I know that Foothill recently had an overlay pavement, but I know approaching and the streets on Riverside going both sides of it is a problem, more so on the south side than the north, but thank you.
But when that was done, we didn't do the intersection because they were saving it for when they did the
Right.
architectural
Correct.
stuff.
Right.
That's why it looks that
Yeah.
way.
The other thing, Mike?
Yes. I'm sorry.
Guys,
Go ahead.
What we ended up doing recently is we had, Marcus did it, he's no longer here, but we ended up going to all our streets. And so now if you go to our website, you can actually see where the maintenance is scheduled, the quality of the street itself. So we now know which streets need to be addressed. We've talked about streets up here quite a bit. So it is on our priority list, it's on our radar, but
Real quick. Yeah, sure. Thank you. That's okay. We're good.
I'm really not sure which streets are city or county, because if you go, or, well,
No,
I
wherever it
kind
might
of know
be.
where
Okay.
Colton is. Because
Oh,
if
go
you
ahead.
go down Pepper, what is that, San Bernardino Ave and Pepper? That's a nightmare, but I'm not sure it's Rialto's problem.
No.
It's
But can you guys not put a little pressure? Come on, I mean, everybody in Rialto drives down that street.
Sure. Yeah, we try to, yeah, and I know in Public Works and Rob, or even the council and I, we try to work with our neighboring communities, but, it doesn't seem to work. And we try to coordinate projects with them, or even the county. I keep in mind, there's some areas that are county that run the city, and we try to coordinate with our supervisor to do it. But what bottom line is, I would love to push them to do it, but what I'm clearly hearing is what we need to do on our own street. So we need to take care of that. So, Mr. Jackson.
Well, thank you, Mike. I just wanted to speak to the alphabet F, none of the above, just as an idea of some potential entrepreneurial thinking. If you have some additional money and it's maintenance oriented, I think the special weapons team in San Bernardino, the police authorities share resources. Say, for instance, the armored vehicle that's shared resources in this community. Sure. Well, if there's a way to develop some type of maintenance component that could become a public-private partnership shared with other jurisdictions that could become revenue generating. Some way to use some additional funds in a non-traditional way that would bring additional revenue and potentially jobs to the city.
Okay.
That's my
Good point.
recommendation with
Thank
none
you.
of the above.
Good idea. All right, now I'm going to switch into the world of parks and parks and rec programs. What recreation programming would you like to see more of in the city from what we're already offering here? Youth classes, excursions, going places, adult sports, more performing arts, or more free community events. Of those 5 that we have there, I'm sure there's a lot more, but we want to summarize it more and get to the 5 here. You guys could go ahead and respond to that one on youth classes, excursions, adult sports, performing arts, or more free community events from what we're doing now. So, take just a moment to tally that up, and I'll give the council as well as George and Julio from the recreation staff some direction on where you guys are thinking and what you're thinking about there. So, anybody else? Last one, 2, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Youth classes, performing arts, and more free community events. Okay. Anyone want to elaborate a little bit on any of those areas that you can give now that we know where you're headed? Anyone want to comment with either George or the chief's got the mic over there? What you're talking about, more youth classes, what types of classes would those be? Or performing arts, what are we talking about there? And give us some ideas on more free community events. Anyone want to comment on any of those? What they may be thinking about there?
Yeah,
go ahead, Dennis.
If I could.
Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, performing arts is just, it's more of a cultural thing, and I'm for that, frankly. The thing, free community events, I struggle with that term, free. Calvin Coolidge said there's
I
no
agree.
such thing.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
It's,
So
I
what
understand.
we're really saying is city-funded community events.
Well, yeah, free to the public, but not free to, free that you don't have to pay $5 to get in, but the $5 has got to come from us more than that putting it on. Got it. Got it. Gary, how you doing? Good.
I voted for youth classes, assuming that included the youth sports programs. That is a community effort and has been for ages.
Okay. Got it. Okay. Very good. Tony?
We should have added community events without the free part, because we enjoy the Taste of Rialto. We enjoy some of the other programs, but there's so few. Even the other library, when they do the mystery of the library, and you pay to get into those.
Right,
Those are
right.
not free, but they're enjoyable. They're
Sure,
fun.
sure.
I enjoy them. And I think
Understood.
we have a good amount of people show
Sure.
up for them.
Understood.
Add another one that says not free. F.
Got it.
Community.
Understand. Understood. Thanks.
Hey, Mike.
Sure, go ahead.
Gary, as far as the youth classes, I'm not sure if you've been involved lately with the Parks and Rec and stuff. But we have a very, very strong and active youth participation in Rialto Parks and Rec. Basketball, volleyball, football, soccer, from tiny tots on up. So I'm not sure we can fit any more in, to be honest. I mean, they're getting bigger every year. And then if you look at our book too,
Absolutely.
you have guitar classes and karate and dance, and there's everything else. What I was happy to see up there is 43% said performing arts. I guess as we get a little bit older, we like to relax a little bit more. For 6 years, I've said, I wish there's a way we could build an amphitheater in Rialto and have more outdoor jazz concerts and places that a family could go instead of this is for tennis or this is for skateboarding or this is for this. Where's my family going to go? If I want to take my wife and kids out somebody on a day, what am I going to do in a park? I'd like to go there for a movie night at an amphitheater or go there on a weekend and see something. So I'm glad that's up there. So something we can work on.
You have a question in the back, real quick. Yeah, go ahead. Or a comment.
I'm not sure if this has been going on before or not, but I know that now, considering the youth classes, we have this program about like the aerospace or something like that. And I don't know if that was before, but I mean, more things like that, not just sports or recreation for the youth, I think would be awesome.
Sure. Yeah, I know the mayor, that's one of the key things with the Shades of Blue that you're talking about, and that program that just started, and things, that collaborative with the school district to be able to do that. And there's going to
Thank you. Yes, and thank you for pointing that out in addition to all the things that we have under our park and recreation program. But, the opportunity to launch the Rialto Aerospace Academy this past Saturday, and it's going to be 8 weeks, but it's also in a partnership with the school, and it's on a Saturday. So the fact that so many youth came out, there's 42 in the class, and they're volunteering their own time, and they're really interested in involved in it. And what was really, I've really impressed was, appreciate that it's a 50-50. So we have all 21 young ladies in there and 21 men. So those things I think we bring to the community just so we can broaden ourselves. And also, what I found in Rialto coming here, not being born here, is that this community has a rich history and a legacy in aviation. So I want to make sure that we pass that through to our youth. And yes, we have the sports parks, we have the skate parks, we have all the traditional activities, but also the opportunity to think about some other things. I'm glad that Councilmember Palmer mentioned, and I was glad to see 43%. I would feel like on performing arts, it's, we have the plays, but it's also the opportunity to see a venue where we'll see expressions of cultural backgrounds, some other activities that will be entertaining, and we'll also probably bring out other segments of our community that we don't often see. And so when you are in an environment that's an amphitheater, you have an opportunity to get to know other people in our community. I find that oftentimes, depending on of the certain interests, it'll bring a certain group, more if it's youth in the sports. So I'm happy to see 43%. I think we'll start seeing more activities in our community than less.
Next question that's dealing with more parks and recreation types of activities. Last time we talked about some programs and some events. Now we're going to get more into some of the nuts and bolts of things and amenities at a park, at the actual parks that we've got. What do you think is the greatest park amenity needed? Sports fields, open space, picnic areas, walking paths, or playgrounds? Now, when I originally typed this up, I don't know what I was thinking, because when I typed it up originally, fortunately Angie corrected it, it said open face, so obviously I was still thinking about some place to eat, like Jersey Mike's, but we're open face, so I fixed it to open space, so we're good. But if you guys could go ahead and vote on that one too. Mr. Radin.
At a previous meeting, I brought up a walking trail for seniors. I mean, a lot of things are oriented towards younger, but us seniors would like to have a place where we could go out and walk in an area where the ground, maybe they use some type of rubber material on it, where there's adequate shade to sit down under, trees planted. That's what I would like to see in the city, and I don't think we have anything like that, and I think we need it.
Let's go ahead and vote on those, the sports fields, open space, picnic areas, walking paths, and playgrounds at our amenities at our parks and things. So, anyone want to vote on that one? We get up there to the 22. Anybody else? A couple more. Not? Got it. Here we go. Well, you convinced them, Joe. We need more walking paths. So there you go. So it's sports fields, 15. Open space, picnic areas, 5%. Walking paths, 55, and then more playgrounds.
Is that because there's more older people out here?
I don't know what that meant, but
I don't know.
Some young people like to walk too, I'm sure. So it's
Mike.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah. I don't know if you crafted this or in collaboration with the park and rec staff and others, but I guess I would like to see, and I know you happen to be a pet owner, you and your wife. Why did we not list the dog park? Yeah. Is there somebody
back there?
Yeah. How many of us have
okay.
dogs?
Lady in the front row with the clicker will take these away if you don't stop. Okay. So. Okay.
As I looked up there and I thought, well, is that to be inclusive in our open space or walking path, or did it was just?
Hey George, what do you think? Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, now we're going to take the next few questions that are now, we've talked about a lot of the various departments now, not that we didn't put them last for a reason, but we've got some questions regarding public safety. So we have some questions about police and fire. How would you rate the city's police department? Excellent, very good, good, fair to average, or poor? It's a good question, right, Chief? We're good? That was not so bad.
Very straight.
That's a good question. How would you rate the city's police department? Excellent, very good, good, fair to average, or poor? Oh, wow. Okay, that was fast. Here we go. You ready, Chief? You ready for this result? Awesome. Very good, sir. All right. All right, very good. It's because he wore his uniform tonight. That's the only reason. So oh, that's right. You got your camera on. Oh, I'm sorry. I got to watch what I say. So all right. Anyone want to comment real quickly about why you said either excellent, very good, or good?
Who said 4?
Nobody said poor, unless you said, okay. Anyone want to comment? Yes. Yes, ma'am.
For me, it's excellent because all the time when I call them, they right away in front of my house.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Thank you. Anyone else?
I have to say I agree.
Council?
With the audience poll out there. Our police department is probably one of the top departments, if not in the state, in the country, and our chief is probably one of the top chiefs in the nation. He's regularly asked to go speak to other chiefs and law enforcement seminars to tell people what we're doing in the city of Rialto. I know there was a YouTube video that came out the other day, you probably saw it on Fox 11 News about some beating that somebody took at the hands of our police department. One of the things that will eventually come out is, thank God, we have videos on our police officers, and we were one of the first departments in the nation to fully outfit our police officers with those, and when the end result comes out, that's the saving grace that keeps all these other videos that keep coming up where you see police officers, well, you think it's excessive force, but you never see what happens first. You all know what happened in sports. You were in high school or you were in college, and you know the first flagrant foul is never seen. It's the retaliation once it is, right? So you never get to see what goes on up front or what caused something, but you see the aftermath. And at least in this instance, because of our great police work and what we do in Rialto, you'll see at some point what caused it all, and that's what makes our police department great.
Real quick, most of you guys probably not aware. I've joked with Tony. I would hate to be the person replacing him because he's had so many great programs that are first in the state and in the country. We have the use of cameras. We've had it for over a year and a half. He actually did a study, a double-blind study to see if it would work or not. We had a huge drop in complaints, huge drop in use of force. We're talking 60, 80%, significant. He's doing cold cases where we're representing the victim, or the voices of the victims, where they're no longer around to talk about it. So we're going back and we're actually solving murders that are 20 years old, etc. And I'm completely awed by what he's doing. We have something called the Pride Platoon. As a former police officer, I would go to a house and somebody would say, my 16-year-old child's not paying attention or it's disrespectful. At the time, I would try to give some advice. He'd be respectful while I'm there, but there really wasn't much we could do. Now there's a Pride Platoon where we work with the school district. They get, you can actually have your child go through a 14-week boot camp. And what's amazing about this program, by the time they get done, they get psychologists sit down with them, sit down with the parents. By the time it gets done, about a week ago, I was in Kaiser in the elevator, and a lady goes, excuse me, are you on the city council in Rialto? Yes, I am. Oh, I want to let you know, I was in the Pride Platoon, whatever class, I forgot what class she said. And she said, I want to let you know I graduated from high school. Moments like that, and if you watch the parents come up here or the great-grandparents come up here, we have a gentleman who's going to school right now. He did over $28,000 of graffiti, and he went through the program. And now he's actually in college, doing great, maybe eventually might become a police officer. So these are life-changing events, and I can't not talk about it, but we have an amazing police chief, and I'm glad I'm not replacing you, because you got to leave something for somebody else.
Mike, I would just only like to make add one comment to that, following up with what Councilmember O'Connell said about the program, the Pride Platoon program, because of the way that the chief and his department, his management team, and especially one of the lieutenants that's sitting in the back has brought that program forward. It has definitely started to get state recognition and national recognition, also to the point that they're beginning to change the program and broaden it, not so much that it's so much a Pride Platoon boot camp as much as it's now moving in the direction of a Pride Platoon Leadership Academy. And I think that's what you really want to do, is also move things in a path where people start wanting to seek the opportunity to be a part of something. And I want to take the time to applaud the chief and his lieutenant because of that, and because of we've also been out always trying to bring resources to this community and writing grants. This past year, Rialto managed to pull a competitive grant and a team effort, but led by Chief Ferrara and Lieutenant Dean, a competitive grant where we will be getting almost, $500,000 for the next 3 years to focus on gang reduction and activities, but more to focus on it and prevent it before it gets started. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that's moving, and we were the only one to receive it in the county from the state of California. So we need to also know that we are very competitive and doing very well in this community.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I want to echo what everybody has said about the chief, but I also want to recognize those that work for him, because without good people working for him, the chief would be a shell of a man maybe in some respects, but a chief is as good as his people, and he's got some of the best people in the state, without a doubt. Lieutenant Harden, my hat's off to you for the work you've done with our youth. But everybody over there that works very hard. I've seen a lot of differences in the city over the last few years, even going back to Chief Kling, that have been made since Chief Kling was here and Chief Farrar, who followed him. There's big improvements, especially in the area of dispatch and parking enforcement. Those areas that mean a lot to us, especially parking enforcement. I remember the day in the city where we had no parking enforcement. Now I see them out there writing tickets and doing stuff, and I think we owe that to Chief Farrar and his people. So again, I echo what everybody has said.
One more quick thing I would like to say. I had a neighbor who rented out her house, and the renter had some young children there, and they threw a party, and it seemed like they were throwing a party almost every other week. And I had called out Rialto police to come and try to shut the party down, in which they did. But what I liked, I watched how they handled the children and how they talked to them and got them to cooperate. What that reminded me of is when I was a young child in Watts, where the police early back in the day would take care of the neighborhood. And everybody knew everybody. So I watched them carefully, and they really talked to those children and got them to understand that they needed to move on and shut this down and go home, because it's a safe place for them to be. And I really did appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. This next question is related to this, or it may not be, but it may have something directly related to the police department and how your feelings are in the city. But do you feel safe in Rialto? Not simple.
Yes.
Do you feel safe in Rialto? It's a yes or no. I haven't got a lot of choices.
Skewed these questions the next.
I would never do that. I'm not a pollster. I'm not. Okay.
Because I said yes.
So,
no.
Do you feel safe in Rialto? Oh, pretty quick. That was real quick. So let's see what the numbers look like on this one, Chief.
I think so.
Okey doke. 86% yes, 14% no. Council, any comment on that?
Yeah, I have a small comment. 6 years ago, in parts of Rialto, I would have said no in a heartbeat in some areas, especially the downtown area. right around City Hall and in our downtown, I would have said, no, I don't feel safe at all. You couldn't walk, and once it got dark, you couldn't walk down here. I can tell you folks, now it's 100% yes in 99% of the city. Obviously, there's probably some streets I'm not gonna walk on at midnight, but I would have no problem walking downtown, or even down the alley at midnight in downtown Rialto. I could go there tonight and feel perfectly safe, so. I'm glad 86% of you feel that same way.
Mike?
Yes, sir.
With the 14%, I'm not going to ask you to identify yourself.
I know.
Two questions I would have if I had a chance to talk to you would, one be, were you a victim of a crime recently, like a burglary, et cetera? And if not, then is the media changing that perception? One of the things is I find when I go to the groups and I talk to people is if they become a victim of burglary and it's a couple times it's happening in a neighborhood, that perception is, oh my God, the city's out of control, where most burglaries, with some exceptions of a majority of them, is occurring geographically in that area. And or when I speak to the seniors at the senior center, I find, and that's why I don't watch the news most of the time, is they sensationalize a lot of stuff. So it's all of a sudden, if you ask people, is crime increasing or decreasing? You know, most of the previous years, you can actually, most people would say it's increasing. Well, it's actually decreasing. It's a little different now, but so that's what I would love to ask and look into a little deeper.
You know, I would add, if you don't feel safe in Rialto, drive through San Bernardino.
I don't recommend that, but Mr. Scott does and stuff.
I don't even like to be there in the daytime.
I would say I feel personally safe in Rialto. I feel okay now going to Stater Brothers on Baseline, which I didn't for a long time. I'm not sure my house feels safer in Rialto. We've been burglarized twice in the last 21 years, and I still feel that sense of dread coming home, thinking, is it going to be like last time? So.
Got it. Thank you. All right, let's go on to the next one. We're wrapping it up here. Over the past few years, have you seen a positive change in your police department? Have you seen, I know you heard the council, you've heard some of us. Have you seen a positive change in your police department? Yes or no? That's quick, boy. They're really quick on these, Chief. All right. And the results are?
There you go.
There you go.
You made it.
Thank you.
So
Awesome.
That's a Dancing with the Stars. Huh?
There we go.
You got 10,
Those are
10, 10.
Those are 10, 10, 10s. Very good, Chief. Okay. All right, now we're going to compare a little bit to our neighboring cities now. This is a little bit different. So let's look at this one. Do you think we are a safer community than some of our surrounding communities like Fontana, Colton, San Bernardino, and Redlands? Do you think we're a safer community than those?
Luckily, you put some of them, not all.
Yeah, well, yeah.
You're kind of being mean to a couple of them.
I mean, you started it. Okay. Wow. What do you think, Chief? You want to guess the percentage?
Well, I know the answer because I gave you the question.
86%, 14%. Very good. Council, any questions you want to ask of the, okay, very good. That's a clear message and stuff. So we appreciate your comments with the police department. I know the chief really appreciates it and everything, so does the council. So, well, no, so you know what? Let's talk about those poor firefighters and stuff a little bit here. Right, Chief? Okay. How satisfied are you with the fire and EMS emergency services that the Rialto Fire Department is providing to the community? Very satisfied, somewhat neutral, dissatisfied, or very dissatisfied with our fire department and our EMS, emergency medical services programs? Wow, very fast. Okay. How you feel, Chief? You okay? A, 2%, 5%, 14%. Okay, very good. Anyone want to have any comment about our fire or EMS, our fire department or anything? Anyone would like to comment?
Yeah, I'd just like to say that since the advent of our new chief coming in, Chief Freitas and me being on the CON Fire Board, I get more of a first-hand view as a council person and what our fire department goes through. The group of people we have now as firefighters and firefighter paramedics in our community are second to none in the state of California. And the programs the chief has going to bring in new people, to expand our ambulance service, and the things we're going to do is going to make us one of the best departments in the state.
I'd also add that if any of you have ever been taken to a hospital in an ambulance, the difference between riding and going in a Rialto paramedics vehicle and AMRs is day and night. So, and we're one of the very few cities
Correct.
that has our own paramedic vehicles. So.
Exactly.
I don't want to find that out again.
Some of us have experienced that.
Yeah,
So
I don't
it's,
want to experience that again.
One thing, I have insurance, but one thing that actually happened to me once was there was a discussion about whether my insurance was going to pay for the ambulance. And when you actually start looking at the dollar amounts, it made me realize we actually have an ambulance insurance policy where I think it's $5 a month. You can put it on your residence. You pay through the water. Just call the water company, and they'll add it to your location. Anyone that gets hurt there is covered. So it's actually, if you see some of these prices on the medical, it's definitely worth it.
very good. All right, let's get some more talking about a little bit of the programs and things that the fire department offers and things you'd like to see done there. So, what type of public education opportunities would you like to see the fire department provide more of? CPR training, basic first aid training, disaster preparedness, or any of you been to area command meetings or been part of it, the CERT training, fire extinguisher training, or drowning prevention? I'm not volunteering for the drowning prevention to drown, but to be able to do that. So, go ahead and respond to that if you could. CPR training, basic first aid, disaster preparedness, fire extinguisher training, or drowning prevention. You guys can respond to those. What would you like to see them do more of? Anybody else? More responses real quick? No. All right. Here we go. There's the total. Okay, Chief, there you go. There goes your disaster preparedness. Good thing we're expanding the CERT program and doing more of that. Very good. CPR training, 35%. Basic first aid, 20%. Obviously, the disaster preparedness and CERT training and fire extinguisher and drowning prevention and stuff. So, very good. They do all these things now, but seeing more of it, expanding that is important for the chief to know those things. Some of you people I know have been through it, have been through the CERT training and things to be able to do that. But, George, why don't you go ahead and real quick here.
Community Emergency Response
Go ahead. Chief, real quick, explain CERTs real quick so we can tell them it.
The CERT stands for Community Emergency Response Team. These are neighborhood organizations where we provide the training. It takes a little less than 40 hours over about a 2-week period, and we train you how to coordinate resources in a major event before the first responders get there, because we're going to get inundated. There's only so many of us, but there's a whole community that can help themselves. So this is an effort that we use to coordinate those efforts.
Very good.
Mike?
Yes, go ahead.
And
I'm
I
sorry.
just would like to add to that one, I believe our CERT training is just now starting back up that you have underway. And I'm happy to see that the response was of the 2 areas where you can assist yourself, the CPR training, I think it's 35 I saw, and disaster preparedness, because I just last week had sent over to the chief, so this helps to support my concerns. We received a notice from FEMA, which is the Federal Emergency Management Assistant, that they now would like to extend disaster training and CERT training to youth. And so I sent that to to Chief, and I want to work on moving that forward, because in addition to the training for adults, you know, oftentimes if we would start that kind of training with our middle schools and our high schools and somehow partner that early, we'd be amazed at how young kids could respond. So I did kind of say strongly that I still want to move forward and see what we can do to have a partnership and create some type of a training program for our youth to participate, because I think right now our CERT program pretty much focuses on the adults. And I know the school wants to focus on training teachers. And that's fine if the teachers happen to be on site at the time when a disaster happens, but it would be important to make sure that our youth are trained, so that in the event the disaster doesn't happen at school and it happens at home, that they would be able to act responsibly and assist as well. So,
Yeah, what I like to
hand in hand, happy.
Sure.
What I like to see about the percentage that you put up there, it shows a commitment to your community, is what it shows me as a council person. Because all three of those top ones are ones that you're going to be able to use to help other people. That's what it is. Now understand, our fire department does all of those anyway. It's kind of a loaded question. They provide all of those services. And I want to say the two that were at the bottom, the drowning prevention especially, they do an amazing job at that. They go to all the grade schools every year. They send a team out. They hit all the youth on drowning prevention stuff. I know my daughter went through the class a couple times. She loves it. So,
Matt, could you share how we fared last year? Because I know our drowning prevention training in partnership with the Kiwanis, East Rialto, and others in the schools. But I believe our numbers were extremely low in comparison to the rest of the county.
That's correct, and they have, the drowning prevention program in Rialto has really become a model that's expanding throughout Southern California. Unfortunately, it was born out of a series of drownings, and these are the ones we really focused on were 5-year-olds and younger. And we had per capita exceeded all of the areas in Southern California for the number of drownings per capita in that age range. So with this program, going out to all of the schools, partnering with the Kiwanis Club, we have a mascot, Stewie the duck. It is a duck suit. The firefighters do wear it. They don't love it, but they do it. It has had a tremendous impact. So this last year, we count submersions and we count drownings. So a submersion would be a near drowning. We had 2 submersion incidents. We had no fatalities last year in that age group. And this has been the consistent trend. We went from some of the worst to having some of the most stable statistics of anyone in the area. So while I see it at 5%, I would like to think that's an indication that we had a problem that we fixed, and we're not going to let our guard down, because we don't ever want that to be something that becomes a community issue again.
Good point. This last question is one that deals with other areas that the fire department's involved in that you may not know about, but we want your response to it. How satisfied are you with the Rialto Fire Department's fire prevention activities? This is talking about fire inspections, weed abatement, fireworks enforcement, et cetera. So we want to know how you feel about this particular component of the fire department. We talked about, you know, the firefighters, the EMS, some of the search, some of the other programs. This is the fire prevention component of the department. We want to, how you feel, if you're satisfied, somewhat satisfied, neutral, dissatisfied, or very dissatisfied with those particular pieces of fire prevention, that component of the fire department. If you guys could respond. I'm sorry.
I think this, again, is going to skew it. The fireworks enforcement. I've talked to so many people who aren't satisfied with it. Last year, for the first time, I'm not sure if it's the first time, but it's the first time we actually have our city, we redid our policy. Our city attorney has prosecuted people that we arrested. Those figures will come out. Matt has a team, so does Tony, go out there and actually make arrests. We've actually evaluated what we can do better in the future. This is going to be a multi-year approach. I believe, Matt, you also go out there and fireworks interdiction, if you want to talk about that on the freeway real quick.
Yeah, we have tried to do a multi-pronged approach. The first thing is to try to keep them from coming into the area. So we partnered with the county. We set up an interdiction operation at the agricultural station just outside of Barstow. And so we had a warehouse that's probably about half the size of this room here, stacked to the ceiling with fireworks that are being brought in from the state of Nevada. Everybody thinks they're coming up from Mexico. It's actually, the majority of them are coming in off of Indian reservations up into in the Nevada area. So that was a big piece right there. And then, as Councilman O'Connell mentioned, you know, we have laws and ordinances, but we may not have gone as far as we could to actually start writing citations that, you know, they start out at $1,000 a piece and actually hold people accountable to it. So we did that last year. We actually had our attorney follow up on these. I think that it's going to take some time for the word to get out that we're serious about this. But on 4th of July, we partner up with the police department. We have teams that are going out. We are finding people when they're doing it. It's not hard. You just look up in the sky. Everybody here knows what it looks like. We track them down. We take their fireworks. We write the citations. So again, this is a new approach, and we expect that we'll start seeing the fruits of this as in the coming years.
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead. If everyone also, while we get the next comment or something like that, if you guys could finish responding to this, and then we can get you their tally up there. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I have to say this. Where my mom lives in Rialto, it looked like a war zone. There were mortars everywhere. We were so afraid. I mean, they were behind us. They were on the side of this. They were, every way you turned, there were mortars. And we've called. And the year before that, they caught a palm tree on fire. I was like, and every year, and it's not just 4th of July. It's New Year's. It's every holiday they do it.
Like we said real quick, it's going to be a multi-year. I have to agree, my dogs were completely petrified. I know Mike was identifying some miscreants in some of his areas. But, you know, honestly, it's something where if I just got arrested and I have a $1,000 or $700 fine, and I realize if I do it again, it's going to be another $1,000, and we evaluate the program and we're going to tweak it, I'm not doing it again. And once I might tell 5 people, Rialto's not the place to do it. And over time, that's where we're going to have an impact. We're also going to do a few more things that we're not going to talk about yet, but we're going to, as it gets closer, we'll make sure it gets out. But
Cool.
Thank you.
And if I just say one quick thing
Real
with
quick.
that.
Mom's address.
I don't want to, and with the things that we are doing, I don't want to give the impression that we're satisfied that we've fixed it yet. Because I sat there on last 4th of July on the front steps of this fire station, and everywhere you look, it's coming up. And it's as frustrating to us as it is to you. But if you can imagine, if you've seen it, I mean, to catch them all at this point is going to be difficult. We have to change the mindset. We have to change the culture. We have to make some arrests. We have to find some people, and they need to tell 2 friends, and they need to tell 2 friends, and that's when we're going to start seeing a change.
Yes, Joe.
A couple things. One thing is informational campaign at the schools. Secondly, I think there needs to be more staff out on the 4th of July. A big increase on that particular date. One thing that I've noticed in the last, I would say, 2 to 3 years is the problem starts earlier and more of it. And I would say maybe last year, this year was, as far as I'm concerned, still terrible, but either last year or the year before last, it was just outrageous. That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Jackson, make sure everyone finishes voting. I'm not going to tally it up. After Mr. Jackson, I'm going to push the button. Go ahead. Yes, sir.
Well, I wanted to ask this question, Mike. I raised this question at the second class of the Bridge of Success. And this question has to do with fire vehicles, apparatus, and response times. And it was just right in the beginning of November where, I don't know, in this downtown sector, there's a particular station or whatever, but it's like response times, and I was told at night when I asked a question about fire apparatus and vehicles being parked on Rialto Boulevard, fire personnel can respond from anywhere. So could you tell us a little bit about that?
As from what perspective, as far as if you see them not in the station, that they're actually still
yes, available for responding to emergency calls.
Yeah, our personnel, unless they are actually attached to an emergency call, they do a variety of things. They do fire prevention inspections, they do training, they do community outreach. You know, they do eat. You know, we keep them for 48 hours at a time, so we figure that's fair. But all of that time, unless they're attached to an emergency, they're hooked to a radio, hooked to a pager, and they can respond from any location. So sometimes that's to our advantage, you know, if they happen to be in the right place. I think our biggest challenge right now is that the call volume, the demand on our emergency medical services, we have a lot of units that are tied up. And so if anything's really impacting our response times, it's really that. It's the volume of call and the amount of resources that we have. But when you see them, they're ready to respond.
Chief, you want also maybe mention the comm center that we have and the mutual aid that we have with the cities, how they may respond to?
Couple of good points with that. We have a state-of-the-art communication center that we are part of with a JPA, which means we have joined forces with 12 other fire departments throughout San Bernardino County to share the costs and to build a more robust communication system. Councilmember Palmer is on the board of directors for that JPA. Two big things that does. All of our resources have GPS attached to them. So instead of finding out where your call is and then notifying the closest fire station, which is what we used to do, it'll find where that unit is, and it doesn't matter who it is. If they're the closest, that's the one that goes. So you're always getting the fastest response time possible. It's automatically done before we go out. When we draw down resources or if we have a very large incident in the city, we have established automatic aid agreements with every surrounding area. So we go with closest resource. If somebody from the city of Fontana, if county fire is over there and they're closer to the call, they'll be the first ones dispatched. So we're not so territorial that we're going to run the risk of not getting you the closest resource. And that happens every day through our communications center.
Great.
Thank you.
Chief, there's your tally for your fire prevention division. To look at that, we'll get that down and stuff too. You're very satisfied, somewhat, and neutral, and some dissatisfied. So
I'm hoping the dissatisfied was along the lines of
I
the
bet they had
fireworks.
in their neighborhood. I'm just saying.
39, 33, 22.
So. All right. That concludes all the questions that we have. And what I want to do is just a couple of things. Is obviously, thank you all for coming out and participating in this. Thank Angie and Pam for, you know, coordinating this and setting all this stuff up. We have in the conference room, if you walk straight out the door, we've got some water. I've got some cookies and some other things as a reward for coming and participating in this. Real quick before I allow the council a couple of comments and stuff, close it out. Two, if you haven't got one, pick them up for your friends. If they haven't got it, the Progress Magazine, the community calendar, we've got them out on the rack out there to be able to do that. And great information about what's coming up and what's going on. And then the Institute of Progress. Those applications are out there. There's a bunch of people in there that have been part of it. The next 8-week class starts March 12th. It's a great opportunity to come out and hear about the history of Rialto, the various operations of all the departments, PD, fire, public works, recreation, you know, city clerk, city treasurer, what the council does, and all those particular pieces. Please come be part of that. We feed you great that night. It helps you get more engaged in the community, and it's an opportunity to learn more about Rialto, about why we do what we do and how we do it. And it's also a great entry point if you're interested in getting more involved in any of the commissions or committees or boards and things that we do here. So with that, I'll let the council, now that they've seen the 20 questions and they've seen the results, if they want to say anything last before we wrap it up for the evening.
Mike, my only question was, at the conclusion of this, and what I said in the beginning was people had came, and I wanted to make sure, was there any other questions, general questions, any other thing that you had came here tonight that you may have wanted to ask about that wasn't covered in the things we went through? Dennis, did you have your hand up? Yes.
There'd been some talk, I think, about holding some meetings on the additional funding that might come into the city. So I take it this isn't, obviously this isn't that, so I'm looking forward to that, that meeting.
Yes.
And that actually may either be in a workshop setting or at a council meeting where we're going to be out evaluating those pieces. I think the council will provide me the direction that they want to take on that one. So, yes, ma'am.
I don't know if it's appropriate to ask this question here, but right across from where we live, there's a new development being built, and we're getting rat infestation.
Okay.
So we are concerned because, well, we're being invaded.
So-
And I'm not sure if the city is
So
aware. and
there's a
they're
new,
doing-
something's being built right there now and everything?
Right.
Got it, okay.
Yes.
So what we'll do is, when we're done here tonight, if you could speak to
Location.
this guy right here,
Okay.
this guy right here, Mr.
Okay.
Steele. He
Yes.
will, from Development Services, where he's got to issue the permits to build the building, to drive the rats out of there and stuff, so, but, so he,
But we
Mr.
did-
Steele,
yeah,
You
we
should
need the
also
location.
call county vector control,
Okay.
because the county plays a role in vector control also.
Okay.
So they may be able to help you on how to deal with it.
And when you leave here, you talk to Mr. Steele about that, because he can talk to the developer, is also at the front counter here. Angie or Pam can get you the vector control number tonight, so you can call and do that.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
And you're not the lone ranger, because I actually talked to somebody the other day that something was being done across the street from their house, and they said they actually saw the rats running across the street into their backyard. Oh, wow. It's like.
They didn't stop at the stop
So,
sign or anything? They just kept running and stuff, so,
Okay,
okay.
move over here, let's go.
Okay,
I
very
think you had
good.
a question in the back.
Yes, anyone else, real quick? That's okay, we'll get there and, no, you're good. Okay, yes, Mr. Jackson.
Well, I have a process question. We've asked a assortment of questions tonight. Is there going to be a decision that the council use this information to render that decision based upon? And is there going to be an opportunity for a broader number of Rialto citizens to maybe have some other means of contributing to this alignment of question responses to assist in any potential decision that the council could make?
I think what we'll do, if there's any
It's a
other
good
questions, I
question.
think that was what is a final, what they can, after they've seen it and what they would like us to do with it, how to assimilate the information or what they want to do. Definitely, you've got department heads here who've heard it about what some of the priorities are. Obviously, the council has too, but where we go from here with it, I think with the council, they can provide a little bit direction to me and to us, to you on that, and what they would like to do.
But I
with
would
it.
just like to say that, I think earlier you mentioned that we would put the information on
Yes.
the website
Yes.
from the survey and this community forum, and it possibly would not hurt if we have a way where people, others who weren't here, could give some input, and then we could look at a comparison. So that's something to think about, but, we just had this process today ourselves, and I think it was excellent feedback. I'm not one that's going to worry about the numbers that we have here. I mean, we're over 100,000 population, but those who took the time to come out and their input to me is very important. So I value what those who were actually here said and had to participate, but I do think it wouldn't hurt to also give those who are on our website a period of opportunity, maybe a week or something, to also go in and give some feedback if they'd like to.
Anyone else in the
Madam,
council? Yes, Mr. Scott.
I'd like to thank everybody also for coming out here tonight, and to me, there wasn't a lot really eye-opening, because I pretty much agree with how everybody voted on all this stuff. And I think there were some areas where we got some good recommendations and clearly some good guidance. For instance, Councilmember Palmer and I had a meeting last week on adult sports, and I think we got our answer tonight on adult sports. So I think it was good to hear this, and I think it's probably the majority of the community feels the same way about restaurants and about places to eat and about our police department, our fire department. And so I think those that are here tonight are a pretty good representation. I'd have liked to have seen a bigger crowd.
Sure.
And I also would have frankly liked to see some representatives from the school district here to listen to this, because a lot of things that were talked tonight could be worked in conjunction with the school district, and a lot of these things are their issues also. So I'm sorry that they didn't choose to be here. I'd like to see us work closer with them. I did want to make a comment on the lady who talked about Pepper Avenue, because I don't think she really got a good answer. So one of the problems that we have in those type of areas, and we have them with Fontana, we have them with Colton, we have them with San Bernardino, those streets kind of become no man's land. And many times those cities who are much larger than us just refuse to do stuff. And I remember a few years ago where up on North Fontana, or North Rialto, North Riverside Avenue, Where the houses stop to Sierra Avenue is actually, that street is in the city of Fontana, and it was in such bad condition that we paved it. And the city of Fontana to this day has never reimbursed us for that money because they don't care. They don't feel none of their residents are driving on it. And it's kind of the same probably for Pepper because it's Colton, San Bernardino, and Rialto. The other cities tend to think that's not their problem. So at some point, I think we as a city have to try to deal with those communities and get them to take care of those areas. And frankly, we have the same problem in some areas where we've not taken care of streets. For instance, in South Rialto, towards Fontana, there's some good Fontana streets and some bad Rialto streets that meet them. And I think we just have to work together better as communities. I think it also helps if you call the city of Colton and the city of San Bernardino and complain to them too. That's a terrible street. Yeah, and I believe, I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right. Even San Bernardino Avenue and Rialto is probably one of the worst streets in the city. I believe it's on a schedule for.
Well, yeah, and the piece on San Bernardino there, that's going to be part of the thing. I know Rob's, we're working on as part of the Walmart project, just do improvements down there, but we stop at Sycamore. That's our end, right by the park, and the rest goes Colton, San Bernardino, County, and by Rialto. Well, yeah, but I think Councilmember Scott's correct. You know, we continue to hound them and work with that. But, you know, main thing, we need to take care of our stuff to start with, too. And that piece, just that little piece there by the park, needs to be taken care of, too. So
I just wanted to make sure you got a better answer than you got.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Mike, how you doing? My name's David. I'm a business owner down the street here, owner-operator of a towing company. Back to question 7, as far as being business-friendly. The past 10 years, I've had to deal with a lot of different cities. We've been to Fontana, San Bernardino, so on and so forth. And Rialto is the easiest, most pleasant city to work with when it comes to permits and licensing. So I just wanted to, once again, say thank you. So pleasant that we opened the first facility in 2008 and the second one in 2013. So you have a great staff. Just want to say thank you.
Good. All right. All right. Any other comments, Council?
I just want to echo Councilmember Scott and thank everybody for coming out today. Now, you're probably going to go home and go, okay, that was great. We had one night, we got to answer some questions. What next, right? Any problem you have, anything that's on this list? I have an open door policy at City Hall here. You have any problems, any concerns, any issues, you don't get answers, or you can't find a way to get answers, call City Hall, make an appointment to see me, and I'll do what I can to answer your questions. But it doesn't stop here. This is the first step that you have in being part of our insight on what's going to happen in Rialto. Don't think you're going to walk out of here today now and just go home and do nothing. Keep involved with us, and if there's a problem, call us, right?
It's late. Thank you for coming out. Glad to hear from everyone. Drive safe home.
All right. Thank you for coming. Make sure you grab some cookies on the way up, and thank you for coming to the forum tonight.